Chapter 27. Plainview, Texas. Still Saturday, 7:15 p.m. Bill froze and pulled his body behind the curtain, dropping the blinds back into place as the Sanders curtains parted once again and Jim pressed an eye to the glass of his bay window, staring directly where Bill had just stood. Exhaling after several tense moments before peeking out again, Bill was relieved to find Jim gone, back to his unwitting guests, the Morrisons, prompt little ass-kissers who'd arrived at the Sanders door at exactly 6:59 p.m., and was left to ponder over how to evade Jim's watchful eye and give himself time to get to his uncle for help, as it was becoming quite clear the Sanders were evil. Absently stroking the brown pillow on the couch, Bill did a double-take when he spotted Poot laying quietly under the dining room table watching him pet the brown pillow, and had an epiphany. To leave unnoticed, he only needed to stay in plain sight. A ruse as old as time. The decoy. So Jim was watching, was he? Well, let him watch Bill do what he did best in the evenings. Sit on his ass and watch TV. He rose with purpose, snapping the blinds closed and pulling the curtains shut. Bill then spent the better part of the next 10 minutes on the kitchen floor, exhausting every creative cell he'd ever housed in his body, laboring over a very poor approximation of himself, with some extra clothes, 2 king-sized pillows, a short spool of rope, and a large, creepy clown doll Marci insisted on keeping propped atop the guest bed. Admittedly, Bill was no engineer, and as he staged his setup, his DIY dummy kept collapsing to its side on the couch, leaving Bill no other option but to illogically strap his flaccid creation to Marci's wooden rocking chair with the rope, and then secure the rope to the leg of the coffee table for support. Once complete, Bill reopened the blinds, pushed the curtains back, and clicked on the TV before crawling army-style to the dining room, while Poot watched warily from her post beneath the table. In the dim blue light spilling from the den, Bill squinted down at Phineas's scribbled coordinates, adjusting the dials overhead. Boom. Whoosh. 16 minutes later, Craig Morrison glanced out his host's front window and remarked with a whistle, "Wow, Jim, your neighbor's really going at it. What the hell, buddy? Get a room, am I right?" Jim rushed to the window, peering over Craig's shoulder, his eyes widening as he spied Bill, in what appeared to be a flagrant display of self-love. The Finkles' blinds were partially open, revealing the dancing, multicolored lights of the TV illuminating the den, the silhouette of Bill's head bobbing up and down, his body savagely rocking back and forth with total abandon, the looping, seductive images of graphic nudity on the big screen before him. Craig's wife, Jennifer, gasped as she joined them at the window. Then Alice, who shook her head in disgust and snapped the curtains closed, lecturing, "His wife just left him. He's obviously having a hard time of it." In his haste, Bill had clicked the TV on earlier, landing on a fairly innocuous string of reruns. Yet once the sun went down, this upper-tier cable channel began showing more adult-centered fare, with hours of programming featuring coy college co-eds and horny housewives. Having grown warm while working, Bill had turned the fan on high and then promptly forgotten to turn it back off, resulting in a rhythmic breeze that blew the decoy's pillow-stuffed torso directly. Each time the chair rocked back, the rope around the DIY dummy's neck tightened, pulling the clown's head down. At any distance, this created the very real-looking portrait of a man, alone in his living room, enjoying himself for approximately 52 minutes straight without a care in the world. Jim continued to pull the curtain askew and glance across the street throughout the evening, once remarking incredulously, "Geez, Bill, have some dignity. You're going to chafe." Meanwhile, the Badlands, north of Dallas, Texas. Thursday, 2200, year 2342. Bill sputtered as he hit the cold, chalky water, choking on the green bilge as his head popped above the choppy swells, where he flailed about, immediately giving up on a lazy backstroke while reflecting on the growing list of unknowns and uncertainties that rattled his previously unchecked and unearned confidence. A large blimp cruised silently overhead like a wraith, the sweep of its bright searchlight barely missing Bill's pale face in the green and brown foam of the water. After endless minutes of struggling to stay afloat, his head slid under the waves and he kicked out to find his feet touching sand. He stood, marveling at his luck when he realized the ocean was only chest deep, though from what little he could see in the ominous green-tinged twilight, there was no land in sight. He'd naively given himself 2 days to reunite with his uncle, though he'd not really considered falling into the middle of an endless, shallow sea. Bill began to walk, shuddering as he stepped on things he could only feel squish beneath him in the murky bilge, perking up as he heard the distant roar of a gas engine over the waves, flapping his arms in the blinding searchlight that snapped on with a metallic clang. A massive, camouflaged, flat-bottomed trawler materializing from the fog. A rusty pole with a fishnet swung out from the deck with a creak, first knocking Bill down into the water to choke, before collecting him in a great swoosh, along with a waist-deep pile of sand sludge, gelatinous trash, and a plethora of unidentifiable flora and fauna, lifting him out of the water to deposit him roughly upon the upper deck, coughing and indignant, where he sat, shielding his eyes from the multiple beams of light trained on his dripping face, until someone tossed him a thin, stained hand towel. From the dark deck beyond came an amused chuckle Bill hadn't heard in more than 30 years. "Is that really you?" Bill squinted up at the light. A hand thrust forward, pulling Bill to stand, and he found himself staring into his Great Uncle Phinneus's lively blue eyes, the bushy white eyebrows framing them raised in exasperation. "It's about time, my boy. I've been searching these waters for months. What took you so long?" "I've had some problems with my neighbors," Bill admitted sheepishly, eyeing the endless ocean beyond the trawler's rusting decks. "Where are we, Uncle Phinneus?" "You're home, Bill," Phinneus admitted with a wave of one hand. "This is Plainview."